partner's grandfather. It was a typical night in my dorm room when I invited my partner to spend the night with me. Our dorm hall had gained quite a reputation for its eerie paranormal activity, but I'd always brushed off such claims, knowing that people often enjoy scaring themselves with spooky tales. However, little did I know that this particular night would be unlike any other. As we settled down for sleep, my partner quickly dozed off, completely oblivious to the mysterious events that we were about to unfold. In the dead of night, or perhaps in the early hours of the morning, I found myself abruptly waking up. As I opened my eyes, a chilling sight greeted me. An elderly man standing right beside the bed. He was tall, sporting a head of silver-gray hair and a noticeable beer belly, and there was something strangely familiar about his presence. I couldn't place where I had seen him before, but this presence sent shivers down my spine. Feeling overwhelmed, I succumbed to unconsciousness once again, only to be transported into a peculiar dream involving the very same man. In the dream, we were strolling through a dense forest that bordered my school, engaged in a conversation that seemed to revolve around utterly random topics like the trees and the grass. Curiosity consumed me, and I repeatedly asked for his name, but he remained silent, refusing to provide me with an answer. Eventually, I managed to recall the name, Robert, and in that moment, the dream abruptly ended, leaving me perplexed and yearning for answers. When both my partner and I finally were stirred awake, I couldn't shake off the lingering thoughts of the elderly man and the surreal dream. Determined to unravel the mystery, I turned to my partner and inquired about his grandfather's name. Without hesitation, he responded with a single word: Robert. My heart skipped a beat and I found myself momentarily frozen in disbelief. I mustered the courage to share every detail of what had transpired during the night, expecting my partner to be as astonished as I was. To my surprise, however, he displayed an unexpected calmness, unfazed by my account of the encounter. He calmly explained that his mother had always believed that his grandfather, Robert, watched over him even after his passing. Thus, it was quite likely that Robert's protective gaze extended to me as well. This revelation caught me off guard, as my partner had never shown any inclination towards spirituality or supernatural beliefs. The fact that I'd never encountered someone else's deceased relative before only added to the sense of strangeness that enveloped the situation. However, I couldn't help but feel the strong bond I shared with my partner, coupled with the stories I had heard about his grandfather and the remarkable similarities between him and my own late grandfather. Maybe that somehow formed a bridge of connection between our worlds. Reflecting on that night, I realized that there are inexplicable forces at play in the universe, forces that defy rational explanation and challenge our understanding of reality. It was a profound and haunting experience that left an indelible mark on my consciousness, forever blurring the lines between the physical and the spiritual realms. From that day forward, my perspective on the paranormal shifted, and I became more open to the inexplicable wonders that may exist beyond our comprehension. In the end, the encounter with Robert served as a powerful reminder that there is much more to this world than meets the eye, and that sometimes the boundaries between the living and the departed can become intertwined in ways that we can't fathom. Perhaps in those mysterious moments we catch a glimpse of a hidden harmony, where the past, the present, and the future converge, and where the spirits of loved ones continue to watch over us, bridging the gap between the physical and the metaphysical. It was a realization that there's a deeper interconnectedness in the universe, one that transcends our limited understanding of reality. From that point on, I embarked on a journey of exploration and self-discovery, eager to delve into the realms of the supernatural and uncover the hidden truths that lay beyond the veil. I delved into ancient texts, researched the accounts of paranormal phenomenon, and sought the guidance of spiritual practitioners. Through my studies, I began to comprehend that the phenomenon I had experienced was not an isolated incident. Countless tales existed of loved ones reaching out from beyond the grave, providing comfort, guidance, and protection to those who remained in the physical realm. These stories spanned across cultures and generations, forming a rich tapestry of human connection with the spirit world. With each newfound piece of knowledge, I became more attuned to the subtle energies and vibrations that surrounded me. I learned about the concept of spirit guides, spiritual beings who serve as mentors and guardians throughout our lives. It became clear that Robert, my partner's late grandfather, had assumed the role of the spirit guide, extending this benevolent influence not only over my partner, but also over me. Embracing this newfound understanding, I sought to deepen my connection with Robert and explore the possibilities of communicating with him directly. I delved into meditation and practiced various spiritual rituals in the hopes of establishing a stronger link to the metaphysical realm. Through these endeavors, I discovered that the boundaries between the physical and the metaphysical were far more fluid than I ever imagined. During my meditative states, I began to perceive subtle signs and messages from Robert. It could be a gentle whisper in my mind, a fleeting image in my peripheral vision, or a sudden surge of warmth and reassurance. These experiences filled me with a profound sense of awe and gratitude, affirming the existence of a realm beyond our tangible reality. As time went on, I shared my journey with others who had encountered similar phenomena. I became a part of a community of like-minded individuals who sought to understand and embrace the mysterious forces at work in this universe. We exchanged stories and compared notes and supported one another in our spiritual quests. Together, we explored the depths of our psychic abilities, honing our intuition and experimenting with various divination practices. We discovered that we could tap into the collective consciousness, accessing ancient wisdom and guidance from those who had traversed the realms of existence before us. Through my continued connection with Robert, I also realized the profound impact of ancestral ties and the enduring presence of our forebears on our lives. Their love, wisdom, and experiences are imprinted in our very being, shaping who we are and influencing the paths that we walk. It's through acknowledging and honoring our ancestors, that we can tap into the wellspring of strength and guidance. Today, as I reflect upon my journey, I'm humbled by the vastness of the universe and the interconnectedness of all things. I've come to understand that the paranormal and the spiritual are not to be feared or dismissed, but rather embraced as integral parts of our human experience. The encounter with Robert, the bridge between our worlds, has forever transformed my perception of reality. He taught me to remain open-minded and to seek connections beyond the visible, and to trust in the unseen forces that shape our lives. So as I navigate this intricate dance between the physical and the metaphysical, I do so with a newfound sense of wonder and reverence. I'm forever grateful for the presence of Robert, the benevolent spirit guide who continues to watch over me, bridging the gap between realms and reminding me that love and connection transcend the boundaries of life and death. Terror in Paradise. Not a ghost story, but a paranormal one. It's pretty long. When I was 10 years old, my family and I embarked on a new chapter of our lives in San Domingo, Dominican Republic. It was a picturesque place with breathtaking weather, stunning beaches, and our residential boasted a spacious garden. The street we called home was adorned with vibrant flowered trees, painting a picturesque backdrop that seemed to exude tranquility and happiness. Little did I know that amidst this idyllic setting, I would encounter the most terrifying experience of my young life. During my time in Santo Domingo, I became acquainted with a girl named Elle. She was 2 years my senior and accompanied me to the school bus every day. Elle's older sister, who was 15 years old, was widely regarded as beautiful, causing many to overlook the inherent beauty possessed by Elle herself. Her introverted nature and inherent shyness seemed to stem from the shadows cast by her older sister's radiance. However, in my eyes, Elle was undeniably beautiful. She possessed mesmerizingly long legs and a sweet, enchanting smile that could light up any room. Her deep, captivating eyes seemed to sparkle with life, Gradually, Elle and I started conversing on the bus, and our friendship blossomed. Even her mother mentioned that Elle preferred the company of younger friends, as she often felt intimidated by individuals her own age. One fateful day, Elle extended an invitation for me to visit her house. Given that we lived merely a few blocks apart on the same enchanting street, I eagerly accepted. As we entered her abode, I marveled at the beauty of the surroundings. Elle, her older sister, and I congregated in her room, engrossed in a spirited game of cards while sitting cross-legged on the floor. The room itself exuded a cozy ambiance, with shelves brimming in the games and books adorning all the walls. Time seemed to melt away as we reveled in the joyous moments, oblivious of the impending darkness that would soon envelop us. In the midst of our laughter and camaraderie, Elle suddenly fixed her gaze upon me and accused me of cheating. Taken aback, I vehemently denied the allegation, my focus fixed solely on my own cards. At first, I brushed it off as a silly joke, assuming she was merely teasing me. However, her accusatory glances persisted, each time intensifying in annoyance. It soon became apparent that she wasn't looking at me, but rather just beside me, as she repeated her claims of my cheating. The air grew heavy with tension, and Elle's expression twisted into a mask of anger. I exchanged perplexed glances with her sister, both of us equally astounded. Then, with a sudden jolt, Elle's head tilted back, her eyes rolling upward, revealing the whites framed by her ebony complexion. Her arms convulsed uncontrollably, and a hoarse voice emanated from her mouth, beseeching us to get me out of here. Panic ensued as her sister and I sprang to our feet, our hearts pounding in our chests. Elle continued to beseech us with this eerie voice, while we frantically made our way to the door. I yearned to flee to escape the clutches of this horrifying ordeal, but my fear of leaving her sister behind immobilized me. In desperation, her sister cried out for their parents, her voice trembling with desperation. Lost in the moment, I too joined in, a futile plea for her own parents who were blocks away. Elle's parents soon rushed to her side, the father instinctively scooping up his child, still in the throes of her torment, and cradling her in his arms. He attempted to rouse her to bring her back to us from the depths of whatever nightmarish realm had taken hold of her. The weight of the situation hung heavy in the air as he shook her gently, desperately hoping for any return. But Elle remained unresponsive, her blank eyes fixed on some unseen specter. The father, fueled by a surge of adrenaline and paternal instinct, made a courageous yet unsettling decision. With a mixture of strength and fear etched upon his face, he lifted Elle off the ground, her legs dangling limply in the air. It was a surreal sight, her young body suspended as if defying gravity, her crossed legs still mimicking the position she held while sitting on the floor moments earlier. The image burned itself into my memory, an indelible mark of terror that would haunt me for years to come. Eventually, he gently placed Elle back on the floor, and suddenly change came over her. Her tense muscles relaxed, and a look of confusion washed over her face as she questioned what was happening. It was as if a veil had been lifted, and she had returned to us, her own self, once again. The immediate danger had passed, but the emotional scars would linger. In the aftermath of that harrowing episode, time seemed to blur. Elle was absent from school, and the relief that washed over me was palpable. I couldn't bear the thought of facing her, haunted by the memory of her possession. Even the mere sight of her sister became a reminder of the darkness that we had witnessed together. My parents had been in contact with Elle's family, and they informed me that she was undergoing medical examinations to determine the nature of her condition. The hope of finding a rational explanation brought some semblance of comfort, allowing me to rationalize the events that had unfolded. Days turned into weeks, and Elle's absence continued. Each time I passed by her house, a mixture of fear and curiosity welled up within me. It took time, but gradually the grip of terror began to loosen its hold. As the school term drew to a close, my fear subsided, and the memory of that haunting incident began to fade. Vacation provided a much-needed respite, and I found solace in the distractions of daily life. Yet I couldn't completely erase the lingering unease that nestled deep within my subconscious. The memory of Elle's vacant expression and trembling arms would occasionally resurface, a chilling reminder of the fragility of our perceived reality. Months passed, and it was time for my family to leave the beautiful country that had become our temporary home. As we prepared to embark on a new chapter of our lives, the memory I carried with me were a tapestry of experiences both delightful and haunting. Among them, the chilling image of Elle's possession remained etched in my mind, an enigma I was determined to understand. Years later, as I delved into the field of psychology, I found myself drawn to the study of abnormal behavior and the mysteries of the human mind. Armed with knowledge and a thirst for answers, I sought to uncover the truth behind what had transpired with Elle. Armed with my own rationality and skepticism, I became an atheist, challenging superstition and searching for scientific explanations for life's enigmas. In a fortuitous encounter, I had the opportunity to share Elle's story with a close friend and a seasoned psychologist, hoping to gain some clarity. I shared my belief that her experiences were rooted in psychosis, a rational explanation for the inexplicable. However, my friend with years of experience and wisdom looked into my eyes and cast doubt upon my conviction. He probed further, asking if there had been any signs of psychosis prior to that fateful episode, signs that may have eluded my young and naive understanding at the time. I paused, contemplating his question, delving into the depths of my memory of possibly to unearth any overlooked clues. As I sifted through the fragments of the past, I began to recall moments that might have hinted at something amiss. Elle's interactions had always carried a certain air of aloofness, as if she struggled to fully grasp the nuances of social interaction. Her responses to humor often fell flat, leaving her seemingly detached from the collective laughter that resonated through the classroom. Could these have been early indicators of a deeper underlying condition? I shared these newfound insights with my friend, recounting Elle's peculiar behaviors that I had brushed off as mere idiosyncrasies of her personality. He nodded, his expression growing somber, as if he had anticipated this revelation, and then he posed the question that pierced through my skepticism, shattering the fragile facade of rationality I'd meticulously built around myself. "What did we all feel in that moment?" he asked, his voice filled with a mix of empathy and gravity. It was a question that demanded introspection, a soul-searching exploration of the collective experience we had shared during Elle's possession. Pure horror, that was the overwhelming emotion that had permeated the room, gripping each of us in its icy embrace. The tendrils of fear had snaked their way through our hearts, leaving an indelible mark on our psyches. It was a terror that had transcended logical explanation, a primal instinct that told us that we were in the presence of something beyond our comprehension. My friend's diagnosis, though unconventional and rooted in the realm of the supernatural, struck a chord deep within me. Possession, a phenomenon that defied the boundaries of science and rationality, seemed to be the only explanation that could account for the intensity and inexplicability of what had transpired. The realization sent shivers down my spine, challenging the very foundations of my beliefs. How could I, a staunch atheist, reconcile the existence of something so ethereal and otherworldly? It was a question that would haunt me for years to come, testing the boundaries of my intellectual resolve. Over time, I delved deeper into the realms of spirituality and metaphysics, seeking answers to the enigma that had consumed my thoughts. I explored ancient texts and studied esoteric philosophies and engaged in profound conversations with individuals who had experienced similar encounters. While the scientific part of me still yearned for empirical evidence and logical explanations, I couldn't ignore the weight of the personal experience and the profound impact it had on those involved. The story of Elle became a catalyst for a profound shift in my worldview. It reminded me that as much as we strive to explain and understand the complexities of the human mind, there will always be phenomena that elude our grasp, pushing us to question the boundaries of what we consider to be real or possible. In the years that followed, I became more open to embracing the mysteries of existence, recognizing that human experience is a tapestry woven with threads of both the tangible and the intangible. And while I continued my pursuit in my career of psychology, I carried with me the understanding that there are phenomena that lie beyond the scope of scientific explanation, beckoning us to explore the depths of our consciousness and the vastness of the unknown. Elle's possession, with all its haunting implications, remained an enigma that defied simple categorization. It served as a constant reminder that sometimes the most profound truths lie not in the confines of logic, but in the depths of our own experiences. We find a myriad of unanswered questions in uncharted territories waiting to be explored. It was a realization that urged me to embark on a journey of self-discovery, seeking to reconcile the realms of science and spirituality within the intricate tapestry of human consciousness. I delved into the ancient wisdom of various cultures, immersing myself in teachings of mystics and shamans and spiritual guides who possessed profound insights into the mysteries of the mind and soul. I attended workshops and retreats and seminars, eager to expand my understanding of the metaphysical and unearth hidden truths that lay dormant within my own being. Through meditation, introspection, and the exploration of altered states of consciousness, I began to glimpse the interconnectedness of all things and the profound influence of energy on our existence. I witnessed firsthand the transformative power of healing practices as individuals tapped into realms beyond the physical, accessing the profound wisdom and unlocking dormant potentials within themselves. In my therapeutic work, I started integrating traditional psychological approaches with holistic methodologies, recognizing that the human experience encompasses more than just the cognitive and behavioral aspects. I embraced alternative modalities such as energy healing and mindfulness and somatic practices, witnessing their profound impact on the well-being of my clients. Elle's possession became a catalyst for me to bridge the gap between science and spirituality, acknowledging that the human psyche is a complex amalgamation of biological, psychological, and spiritual elements. I learned to approach mental health from a holistic perspective, understanding that our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are intricately intertwined with our spiritual essence. As I continued to explore the depths of the human consciousness, I encountered individuals with diverse experiences, accounts of near-death experiences, past life regressions, and encounters with spiritual entities. These encounters, while often dismissed as mere hallucinations or fantasies, resonated with a deep truth within me. They served as reminders that our understanding of reality is limited, and there exist dimensions beyond our immediate perception. The years passed and my understanding deepened. I began to recognize that the world we inhabit is far more mysterious and expansive than what we can fathom. It's a realm where science and spirituality intertwine, where rationality dances with the unknown, and where the answers to life's greatest mysteries may lie just beyond the veil of our current understanding. Today, as I reflect upon the haunting experience of Elle's possessions, I carry a sense of awe and reverence for the intricacies of the human mind and the vastness of the spiritual realm. I've come to accept that some phenomena defy logical explanations, transcending the confines to the scientific framework. And in that acceptance, I found liberation, an invitation to embrace the profound and mystical and the unexplainable. In the end, it's through embracing the enigmas of life that we truly expand the horizons of our consciousness, and perhaps, in this ever-unfolding journey, we may inch closer to unraveling the mysteries that lie dormant within us, forever seeking to understand the depths of our own experiences. My old haunted house. Last part. One fateful night, I found myself abruptly awakened from a deep slumber. The room was shrouded in eerie silence, disturbed only by an unsettling smell reminiscent of smoke permeating the air. Fear gripped me tightly as I sat up in bed, my mind racing with thoughts of potential danger lurking in the darkness. Driven by a mix of curiosity and trepidation, I mustered the courage to stand up and began to cautiously sniff the air, desperately searching for the source of the mysterious odor. As I approached my older daughter's bed, a shocking sight unfolded before my eyes. An ethereal cloud of gray smoke hovered ominously above her, casting a chilling aura in the room. With the heart pounding in my chest, I urgently called out for my partner, imploring them to join me in unraveling this perplexing enigma. Together, we meticulously scoured every nook and cranny of my daughter's bedspread and blankets, even venturing under the bed in a desperate quest for answers. Yet, despite our diligent efforts, we found no tangible evidence of fire or smoke. It bewildered us both to witness the tangible presence of the smoky cloud, yet be unable to explain its origin. Anxious thoughts flooded my mind as I swiftly wrapped my child in a protective blanket, prepared to evacuate the house if necessary. As I tended to my second child, my partner returned from investigating the kitchen and my library's chimney, reassuring me that no fire had erupted. However, something perplexing lingered. How could we both have witnessed the same swirling cloud of smoke without any accompanying scent? The once pervasive smell had vanished, leaving behind only a sense of unease and a lingering doubt in our minds. Regardless, we resolved to double-check the entire house before reluctantly returning to bed, our minds haunted by the inexplicable event. Days turned into nights, and on another dark evening, the clock ticked towards 9 o'clock as my daughter and I engaged in light-hearted chatter and play on the upper floor. Abruptly, the joyous atmosphere was shattered by 3 resounding knocks on the bedroom door. The unexpected interruption perplexed me as I struggled to imagine who could be seeking entry at such an hour. With a mixture of curiosity and concern, I contemplated the possible visitors. Could it be my aunt, or perhaps the nanny, both possessing keys to our homes and residing nearby? The thought of my aunt arriving unannounced seemed unlikely, and she had always made a point of notifying us beforehand. Alternatively, the nanny might have encountered a dire situation requiring immediate attention. Regardless, the unknown entity behind the door signaled a distressing scenario involving someone close to us. Summoning the courage to inquire, I hesitantly called out, "Who is it?" Silence greeted my question, compelling me to raise my voice in a second attempt for a response. Alas, no answer permeated the air, deepening the mystery. I pondered the improbable notion of a burglar audaciously knocking on our second-story door, a cynical prank, or maybe a sinister attempt to instill fear in our hearts. Rationalizing the situation, I reasoned that if an assailant were indeed present, they would inevitably resort to breaking the cathedral glass, granting them access to our sanctuary. Fearing for the safety of my loved ones, I swiftly instructed my daughters to seek refuge beneath the protective confines of the large bed. Equipping myself with an iron bar and a knife, I resolved to confront whoever dared encroach upon our haven. Steeling myself, I flung open the door with a mixture of determination and trepidation, only to find an empty void on the other side. I ascended the stairs, illuminating the path with a flick of the switch, and raised my voice once more, demanding an answer from the unseen intruder. Yet the only response that echoed through the empty halls was a haunting silence. Frustrated but determined, I returned to the bedroom, reassuring my trembling daughters that I would venture downstairs to investigate further, urging them to contact the authorities in the meantime. With each step, my grip tightened around the iron bar, my senses heightened, and a surge of adrenaline coursed through my veins. The house, once a sanctuary of comfort, now felt like a labyrinth of uncertainty and unease. I meticulously combed through every room, meticulously examining every corner, desperate to uncover any trace of an intruder. Yet, to my bewilderment, there was no sign of forced entry, or any indication that someone was even trespassing upon our domain. The unexplained occurrences continued to escalate, gradually wearing down my spirit and exacerbating my insomnia. Waves of darkness crashed upon my psyche, dragging me into the depths of a depression. The mounting pressure eventually led to the departure of our maid, who could no longer bear the unsettling atmosphere that pervaded our home. Even the nanny, tormented by whispers that seemed to trail her every move, eventually decided to resign, leaving me with no choice but to take temporary leave of absence from work and focus on unraveling the enigma that had engulfed our lives. Every day became a battle. As strange noises emanated from the roof, eliciting fear in my daughters' hearts. Yet, amidst the chaos, a glimmer of solace appeared in the form of a friendly ghost, comforting my youngest child during moments of distress. Even our feline companions, usually poised and serene, would occasionally succumb to bouts of frenzy, fixated on something unseen to my eyes. The weight of it all bore down on my soul, pushing me to the brink of despair, as suicidal thoughts whispered their venomous promises in my mind. Desperate for a solution, my partner and I embarked on a journey to rid our lives of these malevolent forces. It was then that we reached out to a renowned shaman, seeking their wisdom and spiritual guidance. Despite my initial skepticism and resentment toward the shaman's confident demeanor, the need for salvation outweighed my reservations. The shaman instructed us to form a circle around a charcoal incense burner, filling the air with a fragrant haze as they chanted ancient incantations. Astonishment seized us all when, in the midst of the ritual, my older daughter's nose began to bleed profusely. Panic flooded my being as I hurried over to attend to her, attempting to stand the flow of blood. The shaman circled her head, their expression of mix of concern and determination, and in that moment, I felt a shift in the energy of the house, as if a veil had been lifted and a newfound calm settled upon us. Miraculously, the bleeding ceased, and a sense of tranquility embraced us, replacing the chaos that had reigned for far too long. Eager to restore harmony in our lives, the shaman continued their spiritual cleansing, purifying every room with the fragrant smoke of sacred herbs. Even before the ceremony had concluded, exhaustion washed over me like a gentle wave, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I drifted into a peaceful slumber. From that moment onward, a profound sense of serenity enveloped our once turbulent abode. In a dream, my late boyfriend, whose presence had been an anchor in my heart, visited me, bidding me farewell, but assuring me that he would continue to watch over us. Tears streamed down my face as I embraced him, his ethereal form a bittersweet reminder of the bond that we had cherished. Though his physical presence was no longer with us, his spirit lingered, offering solace and guidance during moments of vulnerability. In the wake of these supernatural encounters, I began to learn the art of letting go. It was a gradual process, accompanied by tears shed and hearts mended. I accepted that the realm of the afterlife held mysteries beyond our comprehension, that my beloved partner's continued presence was a testament to the enduring power of love. As life settled into a new rhythm, the insomnia that had plagued me began to wane, allowing moments of uninterrupted rest to soothe my weary soul. The shadows that once danced menacingly in the corners of my mind receded, replaced by a newfound sense of inner peace. The laughter of my growing daughters became the soundtrack of our home, and their resilience in the face of adversity inspired me to embrace the beauty of each passing day. Yet there were occasional echoes from the past that punctuated our tranquil existence. The distant sound of the doorbell ringing or the flicker of lights brought fleeting reminders of the ethereal realm that intertwined with our own reality. In these moments, I found solace in the knowledge that our lives had been touched by something extraordinary, something beyond the ordinary scope of human understanding. With the passage of time, the wounds healed, leaving behind scars that served as testament to our collective strength. The memory of those haunting nights became a distant echo, gradually fading into the recesses of our minds. We emerged from the darkness, resilient and reborn, our spirits infused with a newfound appreciation for the fragility and preciousness of life. The house itself underwent a transformation, no longer a vessel for the enigmatic forces that had disrupted our peace. It stood as a sanctuary, a haven of warmth and love, where the echoes of our past encounters with the supernatural became whispers of resilience and triumph. Today, as I reflect upon our journey, I'm grateful for the lessons learned and the resilience that emerged from the depths of despair. Our family bonds grew stronger, forged in the crucible of adversity. We became guardians of our own happiness, protectors of the light that shone within each of us. In the end, our encounter with the spiritual realm served as a reminder that life encompasses both the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknowable, It taught us to embrace the mysteries that lie beyond our comprehension and to find strength in the interconnectedness of all things. And so we move forward, carrying the lessons of our extraordinary experiences. We face each day with gratitude and hope, knowing that even in the face of darkness, there's always the potential for light to prevail. We tread our path with open hearts, mindful of the ethereal forces that may touch our lives, and we cherish every second, for in each passing moment, the infinite unfolds. Mysterious hole in our backyard that disappears after winter. On that chilly day, my sibling Vivi and I found ourselves unwilling to venture outdoors. However, our beloved dog Frisbee needed to go outside and attend to her needs. Reluctantly, we decided to let her out, hoping she would return swiftly. As time passed without her reappearing at the door, concern began to creep in. Vivi, taking the initiative, braved the cold and ventured outside to check on Frisbee's whereabouts. What I'm about to recount is Vivi's narrative as he conveyed it to me. Stepping out into the frigid air, Vivi called out Frisbee's name, only to be met with a distant echo of her faint barks. Following the sound, Vivi traversed the expanse of our backyard, his footsteps muffled by the layer of snow underfoot. It was in the middle of that wintry landscape that Vivi's eyes beheld an unexpected sight. A deep hole. Although our backyard was spacious, this cavity had never existed before. Kneeling down at the edge of the pit, Vivi extended his hand, reaching for Frisbee in an attempt to pull her to safety. However, fate had different plans in store. As he leaned forward, his grasp slipped on icy snow, causing him to lose his balance and tumble into the hole himself. Struggling to regain his footing, Vivi's attempt to climb out were repeatedly foiled by the treacherous grip of the snow, which caused him to repeatedly descend back into the abyss. Determined to rescue Frisbee from her precarious predicament, Vivi managed to scoop her up in his arms, lifting her out of the hole. With a gentle nudge, he pushed her away from the edge, urging her to stay clear. Yet being the playful puppy she was, Frisbee persisted in attempting to return to the hole's depths. Sternly, Vivi admonished her with a firm no, which finally deterred her. Meanwhile, as time stretched on and neither Vivi nor Frisbee returned indoors, a sense of worry began to consume me. The cold weather outside was no place for them to linger, and I dreaded the possibility of Vivi falling ill. Anxious to relocate them and ensure their well-being, I decided to venture outside and call for them. As I stepped into the wintry landscape, my eyes met the sight of Frisbee bouncing towards me, her furry coat glistening with the dusting of snow. However, Vivi was nowhere to be seen. Intriguingly, instead of approaching me, Frisbee abruptly turned and scampered back toward the hole, as if beckoning me to follow her. In that moment, I heard Vivi's voice carried by the wind, calling out for help. Answering his desperate plea, I called back, determined to assist. With caution echoing in Vivi's voice, he warned me to tread carefully, as the hole possessed the potential to ensnare me as well. Given that we were the only children at home, apart from our father who remained inside, oblivious to our predicament, it was crucial to proceed with utmost care. Taking measured steps, I inched closer until Vivi's figure emerged before me, standing within the depths of the hole. Curiosity burning within me, I questioned how he had found himself in this predicament. His reply unveiled the story of his valiant effort to retrieve Frisbee, which had led to his own fall into the hole. Despite his ordeal, Vivi managed to lift Frisbee to safety before succumbing to the pit's clutches. Determined to rescue him, I knelt down. Extending my arm in an attempt to pull Vivi out, I felt the slippery sensation of the snow beneath me, and the more I exerted force, the more I found myself slowly sliding down into the hole alongside of him. Realizing that I couldn't hold on without jeopardizing both of our safety, I reluctantly let go of Vivi's hand and assured him that I would find something to aid him in his escape. Rushing into the garage, my heart pounding with a mix of worry and determination, I quickly scanned the shelves for a suitable tool. My eyes landed on our collection of plastic kid shovels their vibrant colors beckoning me to grab one. I snatched the sturdiest-looking shovel and sprinted back to the edge of the hole where Vivi anxiously awaited my return. With a sense of urgency, I handed him the plastic shovel, instructing him to create a foothold on the snow, enabling him to climb out. Vivi nodded, his face a mixture of gratitude and determination. He began digging into the snow, his gloved hands gripping the shovel tightly as he carved out steps in the wall of the pit. With each movement, snow cascaded down, scattering around him like wintry waterfalls. Even with the footholds in place, the task of ascending proved arduous for Vivi. The combination of exhaustion, the numbing cold, and the uncertainty of his footing hindered his progress. Determined to provide any assistance I could, I positioned myself at the edge of the hole, grabbing hold of the plastic shovel's blade. I assured Vivi to hold on to the handle tightly. I braced myself and exerted all my strength, pulling outward as he summoned his remaining energy to climb. Slowly but steadily, Vivi began to ascend, his boots finding purchase on the footholds that he had meticulously carved. With each pull, he inched closer to freedom. The strain was evident on both of our faces, but the determination to overcome this ordeal fueled our efforts. Finally, with a burst of strength, Vivi emerged from the depths of the hole, panting and covered in snow, but undeniably relieved. Without wasting a moment, I reached out my hand, helping him stabilize himself on solid ground. With Frisbee's tail wagging excitedly nearby, we embraced, grateful for our reunion and the successful rescue. The three of us huddled together, sharing a collective sigh of relief and a bond strengthened by the shared adventure. Aware of the chilling air that had surrounded us throughout this ordeal, we hurried back indoors, Frisbee bounding happily at our side. In the comfort of our warm home, we shed our snow-dusted garments and prepared something nourishing and hot to replenish our energy. Sipping on steaming mugs of cocoa and devouring bowls of comforting soup, we allowed the warmth to seep back into our bodies, chasing away the remnants of the wintry chill. As the winter days eventually gave way to the arrival of spring, Vivi and I couldn't help but return to the scene of our escapade, curious to see if the mysterious hole still remained. Armed with the same plastic shovel that we had relied on for Vivi's rescue, we carefully prodded the area where the pit had once stood. However, to our astonishment, the hole had vanished without a trace, leaving only an unblemished expanse of lush green grass. Puzzled yet relieved, we exchanged glances, silently agreeing not to divulge this extraordinary occurrence to our parents. After all, they may dismiss it as mere figments of our imagination. Instead, we cherished the memory as our secret, forever etched in our hearts as a testament to the unwavering bond between siblings, and the unwavering bond between the mysterious wonders that life occasionally bestows upon us. In the years that followed, Vivi and I continued to share a special connection, forged by the shared experiences of that wintry rescue. It became a story we would retell countless times, relishing in the remarkable circumstances that had brought us closer together. Frisbee, our faithful companion, remained a constant reminder of that fateful day, a living testament to the strength of our familial bond. As time passed, the memory of that disappearing hole faded into the background of our lives. We grew older, pursuing our individual paths, while always cherishing the unbreakable bond that we shared. Vivi's bravery and resourcefulness during that incident became emblematic of his character, while determination to assist him became a defining moment of resilience in my own life. With each passing winter, as snowflakes blanketed the earth once more, Vivi and I couldn't help but cast a nostalgic gaze toward the backyard, half expecting the enigmatic hole to reappear. However, the magical occurrence remained confined to the recesses of our memories, forever preserved as a cherished secret between siblings. Our shared experience with the elusive hole became a symbol of the extraordinary possibilities that exist within the ordinary fabric of our lives. It taught us to embrace unexpected challenges with courage and ingenuity, knowing that we had each other's unwavering support. We carried that lesson forward as we navigated the trials and triumphs that awaited us in the years ahead. Through it all, Frisbee remained our steadfast companion, a furry reminder of the loyalty and unconditional love that family brings. She was more than a pet, She was an embodiment of the resilience and joy that can only be found in even the most challenging of circumstances. As we grew older, our paths diverged, leading us on separate journeys of self-discovery. Yet the bond forged that wintry day remained unshakable, serving as a foundation of strength during times of uncertainty. No matter the distance that separated us, the memory of that shared adventure held us close, a reminder of the unbreakable thread that connected us as siblings. Looking back now, I realized that our encounter with the mysterious hole was more than just a remarkable incident. It was a turning point in our lives. It instilled in us a sense of resilience and adaptability, and the importance of relying on one another during challenging times. It became a testament to the power of familial love, teaching us that together we could overcome any obstacle that came our way. So as Vivi and I stand side by side, gazing at the now flourished backyard, we're filled with gratitude for the extraordinary experience that shaped our lives. And although that the hole remains a distant memory, its impact on our lives will forever be etched into our hearts, a reminder of the remarkable bond between siblings and the unpredictable adventures that await us all. Door closed to my kid's room. A few days ago, something peculiar occurred in my house, and I feel compelled to document the event as they unfold. Although it may not be a monumental incident, I have a penchant for capturing even the minutest of details. I must admit that I'm writing this primarily for my own sake, rather than for your entertainment, which might explain why I tend to be long-winded. However, if you find yourself growing wary, the title can serve as a concise summary. Let me provide you with some context. We've been engrossed in the renovation project of our home, transforming our upstairs area into a charming kids' room in anticipation of the arrival of our second child. The stairs leading to this newly renovated space can only be accessed through the nursery, and they cut through our bedroom, directly overhead of our bed. Consequently, the sounds of footsteps on those stairs reverberates through our bedroom, making them quite noticeable. On the particular day in question, it was lunchtime, and my wife sought solace in our bedroom, accompanied by her feline companions. Taking a well-deserved break from her duties, meanwhile, I found myself stationed in the kitchen, feeding our firstborn, who was securely seated in her high chair. From my vantage point in the kitchen, I had a clear view of 3 doors: our bedroom door, the entrance to the basement, and the entrance to the nursery. Notably, the nursery door featured a bifold design, composed of slats that could be folded open or closed. At that moment, the door happened to be partially open, left in that state by the gentleman working on the upstairs renovations, who had passed through it earlier. As I focused on feeding my child, a sudden noise caught my attention. My eyes darted toward the nursery door, which seemed to be trembling slightly as if being jolted. With bated breath, I observed the door slowly and mysteriously inching its way towards closure. My initial assumption was that the diligent worker had quietly closed the door from the other side, yet I hadn't witnessed him entering the room. Suspicion crept into my mind, prompting me to investigate further. I swiftly opened the door and positioned myself at the bottom of the staircase, straining my ears to catch any sounds of movement emanating from upstairs. To my surprise, an eerie silence enveloped the upper floor, devoid of any indication that someone was present. Puzzled but determined to dismiss my nagging doubts, I briefly checked on my firstborn, ensuring her well-being, before proceeding to consult my wife. I approached her inquisitively, seeking to ascertain if she had noticed anyone ascending the staircase. To my relief, she confirmed that she had indeed heard the telltale sounds of footsteps. Convinced that my earlier unease had stemmed from my own lack of attentiveness, I chalked it up to a mere lapse in situational awareness and directed my focus back to the task at hand, nurturing my child. Little did I know that the fate had more intrigue in store for me. Merely a few minutes later, the sound of the front door swinging open reverberated through the house, signifying the return of the diligent worker from his break. I observed him as he crossed the threshold, casually strolled into the nursery, and ascended the stairs to the upper floor. Surprised by this unexpected turn of events, as I had firmly believed him to already be upstairs, I instinctively followed in his wake, eager to confront him and gain clarity. Upon reaching the top of the staircase, I found myself face to face with the worker, alone and undeterred. In an attempt to assuage my lingering doubts, I mustered the courage to engage with the worker in conversation. With a mix of curiosity and concern, I inquired if there was anyone else accompanying him during his ascent to the upper floor. His response was a simple yet perplexing, "Nope." Confounded by his answer, I couldn't help but apologize for bothering him with my inquiries, despite the lingering sense of unease gnawing at the back of my mind. It was evident that something peculiar had occurred, something beyond the realm of rational explanation. I reluctantly left the worker to his duties, retreating back downstairs to resume my parental responsibilities, all the while grappling with the mysterious happening that seemed to defy logic and understanding. As the day wore on, my thoughts constantly returned to that enigmatic moment when the nursery door closed seemingly on its own accord. It was as though an unseen presence had quietly intervened, disrupting the rhythm of our daily lives. I found myself seeking solace in every corner of my mind, attempting to rationalize the inexplicable occurrence, but all efforts proved futile. That night, as I lay in bed, the events of the day replayed in my mind like a vivid montage. Each detail, from the sound of the door jostling to the eerie silence upstairs, played on a loop, fueling my curiosity and stirring a desire for answers. I was determined to unravel the mystery that had taken hold of my home. In the days that followed, my quest for understanding consumed me. I delved into research, scouring the depths of the internet for any accounts of similar encounters or paranormal phenomenon. I stumbled upon countless tales of haunted houses and spectral apparitions and unexplained happenings, each one adding another layer of the intrigue to my own personal mystery. In my pursuit of answers, I also reached out to friends and acquaintances, sharing my bizarre experience in the hope that someone could shed light on the situation. Many offered their own theories and speculations, ranging from supernatural to the mundane. Some suggested that her home might be haunted, while others proposed more mundane explanations like drafts or faulty hinges. Despite the plethora of suggestions, none seemed to fully account for the precise sequence of events I had witnessed. The sense of unease persisted, urging me to continue my investigation. I decided to consult with experts in the field of paranormal phenomena, seeking their insights and expertise. Paranormal investigators, mediums, and even skeptics visited our home, conducting thorough examinations and employing various methods to detect any otherworldly presence. Night after night, we gathered around hushed anticipation, as they set up infrared cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and other specialized equipment. We hoped that these scientific tools would unveil the truth hidden within the walls of our abode. However, despite their diligent efforts, the investigations yielded no concrete evidence or definitive conclusions. The experts themselves were perplexed by the lack of tangible findings. Some offered explanations rooted in the realm of psychology, suggesting that stress of impending parenthood might have heightened our senses, leading to perceived paranormal encounters. Months passed, and the memory of that inexplicable day gradually faded into the recesses of our minds. Life resumed its normal rhythm, filled with the joys and challenges of raising our growing family, yet the lingering sense of mystery never truly dissipated. To this day, we remain uncertain about what truly transpired on that fateful afternoon. The nursery door, with its inexplicable movement, continues to be a topic of occasional discussion, woven into the fabric of our family's lore. It serves as a reminder that the world is vast, mysterious, and filled with unexplained phenomena that defy our comprehension. As I conclude my lengthy retelling, I recognize that the quest for answers may never reach a definitive resolution. Some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved, adding a touch of intrigue and wonder to our lives. And so, as I continue to cherish the memories of that inexplicable day, embracing the unknown, and finding solace in the enduring mystery that lingers within the walls of our home, I think my nephew is seeing a shadow man that he calls the Black Man. Lately, my nephew has developed a fondness for a game he calls Ghosts, and this involves me playing with these small Halloween-themed toys. It's an innocent and imaginative game, but occasionally he asks me questions about what ghosts really are. Given that he's only 4 years old, I haven't gone into great detail about it, opting instead to provide a vague explanation that won't frighten him. But I must mention that there have been some peculiar incidents in the past that have left me somewhat unsettled. For instance, he would occasionally point at a corner of the room and inquire about the identity of the man standing there, even though there was no one visible to me. At other times, I would find him engaged in animated conversations with someone who, to my eyes, simply wasn't there. But back to our recent game of Ghosts. As we began playing again, I posed a question to him, asking if he remembered what ghosts were. In response, he nodded thoughtfully, and then, much to my surprise, he asked if I could be the Black Man ghost. I was taken aback by his words, not only because we don't raise him to be in a racist household, but also because he's too young to comprehend what the complexities of racism are. Upon realizing this, I gently told him, "Wow, nephew, I never expected you to say something like that. How about we play a different game for now?" However, he persisted, pleading with me, saying, "Please be the Black Man. The Black Man scares me." I was at a loss for words, grappling with how to process his request and struggling to formulate an appropriate response. In an attempt to divert his attention and alleviate the tension, I suggested, "Hey, let's go for a drive. You always enjoy that, right?" Hoping a change of scenery would clear his mind. I took him for a drive while he eventually drifted off to sleep. Reflecting on the incident, I can't help but feel a sense of curiosity and concern. When we play Ghosts again, perhaps I should take on the role of this Black Man and inquire about his appearance. I could ask him questions like, what does he look like? How does he talk? Does he wear a hat? By exploring these details in a way that he can comprehend, maybe it will shed light on his perception and reveal more about his experiences. Recalling my own childhood, I remember being visited by shadow people at his age. I can't help but pray that he isn't going through a similar ordeal, although I remain determined to support and understand him, whatever he may be facing. This is probably a needle in a haystack situation, but I'm trying to research a missing person my grandma knew who went missing in 1972. He believed he was possessed. His name was Don or Donald from Maryland. Let me share with you an intriguing tale that revolves around my grandmother and her husband, who happened to be the proud owners of a local grocery store named the C&J Grocery. This story unfolds in the past, about 3 weeks before an unsettling incident occurred involving a man named Donald, whom they fondly called Don. He worked as an employee, specifically a cashier, at their beloved store. It was an ordinary day when Don made an unexpected visit to my grandma's house. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a warm glow upon the world, and the clock struck 5 in the late afternoon. Don's arrival caught my grandmother off guard, as her husband was away toiling at his job. Nevertheless, she graciously welcomed him into her home, extending her hospitality by preparing a steaming cup of coffee. The television hummed in the background, tuned to a channel featuring the renowned televangelist Jimmy Swaggart. As they sipped their coffee and engaged in conversation, their topic of discussion gravitated towards matters of faith and spirituality. To my grandmother's surprise, Don confided in her, revealing a deep personal belief that he was, in fact, possessed by a malevolent entity. Intrigued yet concerned, my grandmother inquired further, seeking to understand the basis for his distressing conviction. Don's response, although cryptic, hinted at a haunting experience as he simply stated, "Something happened, and it's inside." Their exchange continued for approximately an hour, during which Don shared the weight of his burden, as if unburdening his soul to a confidant. This evening descended. Don abruptly departed. as if an unspoken alarm signaled his hasty exit before my grandmother's husband returned home. It appeared as though he carried an unspoken fear, or perhaps an uncanny intuition that urged him to depart swiftly. My grandmother, in her usual candor, recounted the details of Don's visit to her husband upon his return. To her surprise, even before mentioning Don's possession, her husband vehemently expressed his disapproval, commanding her never to permit Don entry into their home ever again. This uncharacteristic anger, rarely exhibited by her husband, emanated from a place of deep concern. He adamantly stated that something was gravely amiss with Don. While my grandmother struggled to comprehend her husband's vehement reaction, she respected his wishes, cognizant of the fact that their emotions were intertwined with a deep-rooted understanding of Don's personality. According to her husband, Don's demeanor at work underwent unsettling transformations, contingent upon the individuals that he encountered. Though unable to articulate the precise nature of these changes, her husband described instances where Don's disposition turned fiercely wrathful, particularly towards random customers, often of a religious inclination. It was during these episodes that his voice altered, his eyes seemingly transformed into abysmal pools of darkness. However, as swiftly as these episodes transpired, Don would revert to his former self, as though the bizarre interludes had never even occurred. The realization that Don had crossed the threshold of their home, juxtaposed against this peculiar behavior at the store, exacerbated her husband's anger and trepidation. 3 weeks elapsed after that enigmatic visit, and Don failed to appear for work. This absence was unprecedented, as he had never missed a single day before. Furthermore, he didn't visit the store to collect his paycheck, nor did he offer any form of communication to account for his sudden disappearance. Troubled by this inexplicable turn of events, my grandmother and her husband promptly contacted the local authorities, seeking their assistance in unraveling the mystery. Accompanied by the police, my grandmother embarked on a quest to uncover the truth behind Don's vanishing act. Their destination was his residence, a dwelling where he resided alone. As they arrived at his abode, my grandmother was struck by the impeccable orderliness that pervaded the entire interior. Every item meticulously arranged contributed to an atmosphere of immaculate cleanliness. It was as though Don had embarked upon a thorough cleansing of his surroundings. Notably, his red automobile, an integral part of his life, was conspicuously absent, noticeably missing from its usual parking spot. Curiously, his wallet and personal belongings remained intact, undisturbed, including a suitcase tucked away in his closet. In the aftermath of Don's disappearance, no one ever caught sight of him or heard a whisper from his lips ever again. The passage of time seemed to erode the urgency of his absence, as life resumed its relentless march forward. However, my grandmother, forever haunted by unanswered questions, often contemplated the fate that befell this enigmatic young man. Recounting the events that transpired, she couldn't help but be captivated by Don's charisma, which exuded an almost hypnotic allure. Despite their relationship remaining strictly professional, my grandmother found herself drawn to the sweet nature and undeniable attractiveness. In hindsight, she couldn't shake the feeling that Don's single visit to her house held deeper meaning, as if he were attempting to convey something vital, a message suppressed by an unseen force. It felt as though an invisible barrier prevented him from fully articulating his plight, leaving my grandmother with an unsettling sense of unfinished business. Perhaps, she contemplated, external forces were at play, thwarting his desperate attempt to communicate. And so, dear reader, this marks the culmination of my knowledge regarding the perplexing story surrounding the disappearance of a young man in his 20s, hailing from the state of Maryland. If, by some miraculous twist of fate, anyone reading this narrative possesses information that could aid in the quest to locate this missing individual who labored at the grocery store christened C&J, I beseech you to step forward. This peculiar tale, permeated with the undeniable air of eeriness, has left an indelible impression upon my psyche. Together, let us endeavor to uncover the truth shrouded within this unsettling enigma. My family isn't seeing the figures I'm seeing. Throughout our time in this house, my family and I have encountered a series of unsettling, consistent occurrences, as if the succession of eerie events have taken on a life of their own. Initially, we only experienced occasional sounds of footsteps or caught glimpses of peculiar shadows. However, in the past month and a half, I've started noticing figures appearing here and there within the confines of our home. Oddly enough, it seems that I'm the sole witness to these specters. A few days ago, while my family and I were engaging in cleansing the basement's laundry room, something truly unnerving transpired. As we finished our task, I caught sight of a man emerging from the storage space beneath the stairs. He moved on his stomach, making it difficult to see his entire form, yet I could discern his facial expression and the fact that he was lying down. Strangely, it felt as if he derived pleasure from my observing him, all the while exuding an air of intoxication or euphoria. Remarkably, no one else seemed to notice his presence. Later that same day, my mother and grandmother departed to take our dog to the farm, leaving me alone in the house. Engaged in cleaning out the kitchen cupboards, I suddenly heard a loud elderly man's burp resonating from the living room. The sound was reminiscent of someone who had indulged in excessive drinking. I knew for certain that I was the only one upstairs, since the only way to reach the upper level was from the basement. And that was through the kitchen, and my brother had not passed by me at all. Almost a week ago, I left my room to feed my cat. At that time, my mother and my grandmother had left to pick my younger brother from their father's place, while my other brother remained downstairs. Upon my return to my room, a chilling sight awaited me. Down the hallway stood a headless white figure. Its appearance was far from human, resembling twisted and contorted sharp bones jutting out from an unnatural angle. The mere sight of this grotesque apparition sent shivers down my spine, especially considering I knew that I was the sole occupant of the upper floor. In the past week, my friend's birthday arrived, and I decided to make her a cake. As I ventured downstairs to retrieve some food coloring for the cake, I caught a glimpse of a figure peering at me through a gap in the door separating the main area of the basement from the laundry room. This gap was considerably wide, and what I saw terrified me to the core. A pitch-black figure stood alarmingly close to the door, close enough for me to discern the texture of his hair. Devoid of any facial features, it stood there silently. The proximity of this entity, less than a foot away from me, struck such fear in my heart that I immediately rushed to find my brother, who resided in the laundry room, urging him to stand by my side until I'd gathered everything I needed. Each time I mustered the courage to discuss these apparitions with my family, their responses remained consistently dismissive. They either claimed not to see anything or offered similar explanations. I find myself perplexed as to why no one else can perceive these figures that haunt my vision. And more importantly, why am I the only one who bears witness to these inexplicable manifestations in the first place? The mysteries surrounding our house continue to confound me, leaving me with more questions than answers. Masked thing keeps following me. In our humble abode, a place that became an intriguing amalgamation of unexplained phenomena, a myriad of peculiar occurrences regularly unfold. It seems that my residence has become a breeding ground for the enigmatic, where ethereal noises, elusive footsteps, and the unnerving presence of shadowy figures pervade the atmosphere. Over time, I've grown accustomed to these manifestations, assimilating them into the tapestry of my existence. Yet, an unsettling shiver still courses through my veins wherever my eyes fall upon a new apparition. The incident I'm about to recount took place a day when solitude reigned supreme within the walls of my dwelling. With my family temporarily absent, I embraced the opportunity to engage in some domestic tidying before their imminent return. The afternoon unfolded uneventfully, each task completed with meticulous precision, bringing me even closer to the comforting notion of a tidy abode. There was but one final chore to accomplish: fetching a fresh, pristine tea towel from the closet nestled within the corridor that connected my mother and my own sanctuary. It was here, amid the threshold of our respective domains, that an unanticipated encounter awaited me. As I approached the closet with measured steps, a flicker of movement caught my eye. A masked figure, poised majestically at the very heart of the corridor, a nexus where two worlds converged. Towering above me by a few inches, a small concession to my diminutive stature of 5'2", this enigmatic entity was adorned in a cloak with the deepest of ebony. Its very presence accentuated by the vibrant crimson shawl draping its form. The visage was concealed beneath the flawless white mask, crafted in an oblong shape, with black markings meticulously etched to define its eyes, a mouth, and a nose. Intricate patterns of orange and yellow danced upon the shawl, an ethereal canvas woven into its fabric. A primal fear coursed through my veins, raising hairs on the nape of my neck as I contemplated the nature of this unearthly vision. Could it be a figment of my fevered imagination, conjured by an overactive psyche attempting to rationalize the uncanny occurrences that beset my humble abode? Yet the vividness of its presence defied any such dismissive explanation. Days elapsed, and the persistent enigma did not relent. Engrossed once again in the act of cleaning, I ascended from the dimly lit abyss of the basement, clutching a laundry-laden basket. Setting it down upon the cool tiled floor of the kitchen, I reached for my trusty water bottle, longing for a revitalizing sip. It was then through the corner of my eye that I caught a glimpse of the mysterious figure, resolute in its observation of my every move. Standing resplendent within the confines of the living room, it beckoned my gaze with a silent insistence. It is worth noting that this enigmatic being, despite its proximity, never uttered a single utterance. It made no sound, leaving no discernible footfalls in its wake. Curiously, I never ventured too close, refraining from breaching the intangible barrier that separates our realms. In truth, I never felt directly threatened by its presence. Nevertheless, the disconcertion I experienced whenever our eyes met remained palpable, a disquieting reminder of the incomprehensible nature of its purpose. Perplexity now ensnares my thoughts, intertwining my consciousness with an intricate web of questions. How did this enigmatic specter find its way into the sacred confines of my cherished abode? What draws it here, to my sanctuary of solace? Alas, the answers elude me, like whispers carried by an ephemeral breeze. In my pursuit of solace, I turn to old age rituals, embracing prayer as a shield, smudging to cleanse the lingering energies, and burning incense to imbue the air with a fragrant plea. Yet as days turn to weeks, and weeks bleed into months, the presence persists, unfathomable in its intentions, and unyielding in its vigil. The relentless passage of time has not sated my curiosity. As I navigate the labyrinth corridors of my existence, I find myself ever vigilant, seeking signs, searching for meaning within the ethereal confines of this bewildering encounter. Does this masked enigma seek to communicate? Its silence merely a cryptic code waiting to be deciphered? Or does it exist solely as a testament to the unfathomable mysteries that inhabit our world, a harbinger of the esoteric truths that lay beyond the grasp of mortal comprehension? As I venture forth, my heart a tapestry of trepidation and intrigue, I am reminded that within the realm of the inexplicable, answers often elude even the most ardent seeker. I remain an unwitting participant in the spectral dance, an observer ensnared by the enigmatic allure of the unknown. Only time will reveal the true nature of this perplexing entity, and until then, I'm left to navigate the winding corridors of my existence, hoping against hope that one day the enigma shall unravel its secrets and deliver unto me the enlightenment I so fervently seek. Watching spirit. I've always had a passion for baking, especially when I have the kitchen all to myself. It's my little sanctuary, where I can put on my favorite tunes through my trusty earbuds and let my creativity flow. However, something strange started happening recently, and it's left my entire family bewildered. We began hearing peculiar thumping and banging noises originating from the attic area, just outside my room. Although the precise location may not be crucial to the story, it sets the stage for the events that unfolded. On this particular day, as I was nearing the completion of the batch of cookies I was diligently crafting, those mysterious thumping sounds echoed through the air once again. At first, I dismissed them as mere interference from my music, and I simply lowered the volume. But as fate would have it, a few minutes later, the enigmatic noises persisted, compelling me to pause my tunes and investigate further. Eager to get to the bottom of this strange occurrence, I strained my ears, trying to discern the source of the sound. Initially, I entertained the notion that my mother and grandmother had returned from their grocery shopping expedition, causing the commotion upstairs. I eagerly awaited the familiar sound of the back door opening, signaling their return. However, to my surprise, the door remained closed, and no familiar voices or footsteps permeated the air. Instead, an unsettling sensation washed over me, as if a pair of unseen eyes were intently fixed upon my every move. Now, I must admit that I've always been easily spooked by the sensation of being watched, and in this situation, there was no exception. My gaze darted anxiously around the room, searching for any indication of the mysterious presence. I even considered the possibility that my beloved dog or mischievous cat might be responsible for the eerie occurrences. Alas, a thorough inspection yielded no signs of their whereabouts. My eyes finally settled upon the hallway leading to the attic, and that's where I spotted it, a grotesque figure peering at me from the shadows, its haunting smile sending shivers down my spine. The creature's appearance was chillingly bizarre, with its pallid, almost grayish-white skin and fingers that seemed discolored at the tips. Its eyes were pitch black, devoid of any reflection or discernible source of light, while its unkempt light brown hair hung limply in stringy strands. The most disconcerting aspect was its sinister yellowed teeth that greeted me in an unsettling grin. Terror gripped me so tightly that I instinctively sprinted downstairs to the basement, a place I seldom ventured alone unless accompanied by another family member. Trembling with fear, I implored my brother to join me, seeking solace and reassurance in his presence. We huddled together in the kitchen, the thumping noises continuing intermittently. We exchanged perplexed glances as if silently questioning each other's involvement in this surreal situation. Yet no rational explanation presented itself, and the enigmatic entity never revealed itself again during our vigil. Since that spine-chilling encounter, I've occasionally caught sight of the eerie being, observing me with a fixed gaze, or peering out from me from various locations in the kitchen. It never attempted to communicate or emit any other audible sounds. Its behavior, though disturbing, did not escalate beyond its persistent watchfulness and the occasional chase it would embark on. I distinctively recalled one unnerving incident when, astonishingly, I spotted the creature approximately 30 feet away from home, lurking near a friend's place. This revelation sent shivers down my spine, leaving me to ponder its intentions and question why it seemed to be fixated on me. I must emphasize that I have no involvement in witchcraft, nor do I dabble in summoning spirits. Similarly, none of my family members harbor any interest in such occult practices, and we have never engaged with the Ouija board or any other means of inviting supernatural entities into our lives. The inexplicable presence that shadows me remains an enigma, its motives and desires shrouded in darkness. It seems content with silently observing me, occasionally taunting me with its disturbing smile, and on rare occasions pursuing me in menacing chase. As the days stretch on, I find myself constantly on edge, never knowing when or where this mysterious being might reappear. Its presence casts an unsettling shadow over my daily routines, infiltrating my thoughts and instilling a perpetual state of unease within me. What does it want from me? Why has it chosen to follow me and watch me so incessantly? These questions torment my mind, yet answers elude me, leaving me to navigate this inexplicable nightmare with a sense of trepidation that lingers like an indelible stain. I stayed in a haunted house in Warwick, and I swear it was evil. During the time when I was expecting, my partner and I decided to temporarily stay at his cousin's house for approximately a month before we could move into our own apartment. This particular residence happened to be an ancient farmhouse located in a recently developed area of Warwick, Rhode Island. Surrounding the property, one could find farms and woods stretching in one direction, while a quaint little town awaited in the opposite direction. Upon our arrival, we were informed that this house had been constructed during the mid-1800s, which immediately piqued my interest. However, my partner, whom I shall refer to as Byron, quickly commented on how the stairs seemed uncharacteristically dark and eerie, even in the middle of the day. Curiosity getting the better of me, I gazed in the same direction, only to find that he was absolutely right. There was an undeniable, sinister aura emanating from those stairs. As we slept in the living room, a space that provided a clear view into the kitchen, we couldn't help but notice how the stairs transformed into a foreboding, uncomfortable void during the nighttime hours. Curiosity getting the better of us, making us decide to mention our observations to Byron's cousin and to his wife, who happened to be the owners of the house. To our surprise, instead of showing any concern or alarm, they burst into laughter and proceeded to regale us with tales of people allegedly being pushed down those very stairs. It seemed that they did not subscribe to the idea of supernatural entities haunting the premises, as they have had enough real-life problems to contend with, especially considering the husband's abusive tendencies and struggles with substance addiction. Living in that house was a chaotic experience, to say the least. The husband and wife were clearly grappling with significant emotional and financial turmoil. They had a 6-year-old son who, due to his fear of the shadows, adamantly refused to sleep upstairs alone. This revelation only added to the mounting unease. On multiple occasions when I found myself alone in the house, I caught glimpses of seemingly human figures out of the corner of my eye. Even more disconcerting were the instances where I spotted black dots with long, spindly legs scurrying across the floor, only to vanish when I attempted to directly focus on them. Furthermore, I would occasionally glimpse a figure in my peripheral vision, only to discover that it was one of the family members who seemingly appeared out of thin air without any prior indication of their presence. The inexplicability of such occurrences left me feeling profoundly unsettled. Byron would often mention how, while sitting in a particular chair in the living room, one would instinctively feel the need to glance over their shoulder into the adjacent doorway, as if anticipating the arrival of someone descending a staircase that no longer existed. This notion alone was enough to send shivers down my spine, considering that I slept in close proximity to that doorway and frequently experienced the eerie sensation of someone approaching me. Strangely enough, there came a day when Byron and I were the sole occupants of the entire house. Standing face to face, nearly 2 feet apart, engaged in lively conversation, we were startled by the sound of a woman's voice distinctly uttering, "Shh!" from right in between us. Naturally, I turned to Byron seeking confirmation, as if he spoke those words, only to be met with his wide-eyed expression and a simple response of, "No, did you?" In that moment, we dismissed the incident as a nervous chuckle, rationalizing that our animated discussion must have disturbed the unseen inhabitants of the house. Eventually, we mustered the courage to discuss our unnerving experiences with the rest of the family, including a second cousin residing upstairs. To our relief, they validated our claims of admitting to have witnessed and felt similar inexplicable phenomena. They nonchalantly mentioned how they assumed the mysterious black voids scurrying across the floor were merely one of their dogs, and learned to ignore them as they turned out to be harmless. The cousin living upstairs divulged that the curtains to his closet would frequently sway as if being pushed, despite the absence of any discernible breeze. His explanations ranged from being stoned or fatigued, conveniently dismissing the possibility of paranormal presence. The wife shared a particularly disturbing detail with me, recounting how when they first moved into the house, her son would frequently spot a man in a hat. Initially, they attributed it to his vivid imagination, but as time went on, it became increasingly challenging to ignore the signs of a haunting. Moreover, the front of the house, especially during nighttime hours, became a place to avoid for practically everyone. It felt as though someone would pass by the doorframe and approach while you were sitting in the living room. One fateful night, unwilling to embark on the lengthy journey around the vast house to reach the car, I braved the brisk walk through the front door. To my horror, I heard an ominous growling emanating from the side of the house. Despite owning 3 dogs, one of which was a powerful bull mastiff, I was too petrified to call for her. Instead, I hastily retreated into the house, only to discover all 3 dogs were already safely indoors. Needless to say, I vowed never to use that entrance ever again. Living in that haunted farmhouse took a significant toll on our emotional well-being, and perhaps being pregnant heightened my sensitivity to the surrounding energies. The list of strange occurrences continued to grow, but one of the most recent conversations I had with one of the tenants, renting a room at the far end of the desolate hallway, the only door in that isolated corridor, struck me as particularly noteworthy. I recounted our experiences of hearing the inexplicable shh directly between Byron and me. Astonishingly, she revealed that she too frequently heard the same unsettling sound in the hallway whenever she and her son became too loud. However, she attributed the noise to the young son of the house, and they were maybe speaking into the hallway, an explanation that left me far from convinced. In conclusion, my time spent in that farmhouse remains etched in my memory as a period of eerie and mysterious encounters. From the disconcerting darkness of the staircase and the spectral figures that seemed to materialize and disappear at will, to the inexplicable growls and the chilling shh that echoed through the house, it was an emotionally draining and spine-chilling experience. The fact that other occupants of the house acknowledged similar phenomena only added to the conviction that something otherworldly resided within those aged walls. Whether it was merely a product of our overactive imaginations, or an actual encounter with the supernatural, the enigma that that haunted farmhouse in Warwick and Rhode Island had continues to linger in my mind, reminding me of the unexplainable mysteries that exist beyond our realm of comprehension. My in-laws' house. My story begins when I embarked on a journey into the early stages of my relationship with my now beloved husband, whom I shall refer to as B. We were both young, just 20 years old, when an opportunity presented itself to deepen our connection. B's parents, as fate would have it, asked us to stay over at their house, to house sit, while they luxuriated on a well-deserved vacation for a few days. Naturally, I readily agreed to their proposition, knowing full well that they would have no qualms about me bringing along my faithful canine companion. Moreover, the fact that they graciously offered to cover the expenses for food and groceries, not to mention their close proximity to town, made the offer all the more appealing. Thus, with my circumstances being flexible at the time and B having to work during the day, I happily embraced the opportunity, envisioning a period of tranquility and relaxation in the near future. The first night at B's parents' abode unfolded seamlessly, following a typical routine that involved savoring a delicious pizza, cozying up and watching a movie, and retiring to bed early in anticipation of B's early morning work schedule. However, during that particular night, I experienced a vivid nightmare that inexplicably left me feeling anxious upon awakening, even though I couldn't recall its details. Despite my lingering unease, I found solace in the comforting presence of my devoted dog, Abby, who served as my emotional support animal, though she's since retired due to the arrival of my service dog. Abby's unwavering companionship proved immensely helpful, offering reassurance as I went about tidying up the house. Completing some laundry tasks on behalf of my mother-in-law, who happened to be behind her chores, throughout the day I engaged in a range of activities from cleaning to simply relaxing, awaiting B's return from work. However, amidst the day's tranquility, I retrieved an unexpected phone call. B's cousin, embroiled in a disagreement with her parents, urgently needed to find a new home for her dog, Oakley. As a result, Bee's parents volunteered to take Oakley and provide him with a loving abode. Consequently, I happily agreed to accommodate Oakley's early arrival, and upon Bee's return home, we warmly welcomed the newest member of the household into our midst. As the evening approached, we decided to venture into the basement, where Bee's parents had an impressive entertainment system and a well-stocked bar. Eager to indulge in our favorite shows, we made our way downstairs, accompanied by Abby, who descended the stairs without hesitation. However, Oakley, despite our coaxing, adamantly refused to budge from the top of the staircase. His trembling body betrayed an overwhelming fear that I had never witnessed in a dog before. Realizing the distress Oakley was experiencing, I reassured Bee that we could easily enjoy our evening upstairs without venturing further. It seemed like a minor inconvenience at the time, and with that settled, we settled down to enjoy our meal. As the night wore on, my mind couldn't help but wander back to the basement and Abby's peculiar behavior whenever we ventured into that space. I recalled how she would stand guard, positioning herself in front of the bathroom located down there, never straying far from my side. On a few occasions, she even emitted low growls, her protective instincts kicking into gear. Yet, attributing the odd occurrences to the age of the house, I dismissed them as insignificant and unworthy of concern. We retired to bed that night, blissfully unaware of the horrifying ordeal that awaited me within the realm of my dreams. In this particular nightmare, the terror I experienced felt more tangible and petrifying than anything I'd ever encountered before or since. In the dream, I found myself lying in the same bed where I had fallen asleep, my gaze fixated on the wall opposite me. To my profound horror, a chilling presence manifested before my eyes. It was an ominous figure, clad in a shroud of darkness, emanating an odor reminiscent of death and tar. Towering over me, it contorted its unnaturally long limbs to avoid striking its head against the ceiling. Its proportions were grotesquely distorted, with arms that extended far beyond normal limits and stumpy, oddly angled legs. The figure's long black hair appeared damp, its strands clumping together in a macabre fashion. Its eyes, void of any light, resembled dark abysses, while its lips bore a peculiar shade of blue. Its skin was marked by an intricate network of veins, emitting an eerie sucking sound with every breath it took. Jagged teeth, some broken and others menacingly sharp, filled its disturbingly wide grin. Yet the most distressing aspect of this malevolent entity was its gait, a haunting limp that produced a disconcerting thud and dragging noise as it ominously advanced towards me, its laughter ringing out in a deranged manner. This laughter, while not booming, contained an element of concealed mirth, like an attempt to stifle amusement. Its maniacal smile betrayed its sinister delight in my fear, fueling my escalating panic. Desperately, I attempted to scream, only to find myself jolted awake. Yet the figure persisted, continuing its relentless approach. Paralyzed, I was unable to move or draw breath, overcome by sobs of terror. Just as I felt as I was being crushed under the weight of a grand piano, Oakley suddenly burst into the room, emitting a primal snarl. At last, I managed to unleash a blood-curdling scream, my frantic plea for help directing towards my mother, as I believed my husband wouldn't be able to perceive my distress. In a flash, B leapt out of bed, hastily flicking the bedside lamp on, and casting his concerted gaze upon me. To my immense relief, the figure had vanished. In that moment, I felt as though I had narrowly escaped the clutches of death itself. Overwhelmed with emotions, I called Oakley up onto the bed, where he, now in tears, sought solace by nestling close to me. My husband, armed with a bat, thoroughly searched every nook and cranny of the house, eventually discovering poor Abby locked in the bathroom, her cries and howls echoing through the walls. It puzzled us both, as she had been beside Oakley and me when we fell asleep, leaving us bewildered as to how she became trapped in that confined space. Upon being freed, Abby rushed to my side, immediately checking on my well-being, while Oakley took up a position near my husband, joining him in investigating every inch of the house. Yet there was one area they refused to explore, the basement. Despite my husband's best efforts to coax Oakley into accompanying him downstairs, the dog's trepidation remained unyielding. In a hurried examination, my husband found no signs of an intruder within the basement's depths. When my husband eventually ascended the stairs to join me, I mustered the courage to confide in him that I simply had to leave. The events of that dreadful night had left an indelible mark on my psyche, compelling me to seek respite away from that home. With the dogs in tow, we embarked on an early morning food run, followed by a drive through the snow-laden landscape. Although the weather conditions were far from ideal, I felt a sense of safety on the road that far surpassed the unease I experienced within the confines of the house. Inevitably, I returned to the house, knowing that the upcoming night would be my last in the unsettling environment. Determined not to succumb to sleep, I opted to spend the night on the couch, with both Abby and Oakley nestled close by. The restless hours ticked by as I fought off exhaustion, refusing to succumb to the sinister pull of slumber. Finally, the dawn broke, and I bid farewell to the house, exhaling a sigh of relief as I distanced myself from its haunting aura. Since that harrowing incident, I have steadfastly declined any future offers to house-sit for Bee's parents, although I still mustered the courage to visit them for brief periods during the day. Regrettably, the lingering feeling of being observed and pursued has never left me, leaving me in constant states of unease. One might assume that Bee's parents would dismiss my account as the ramblings of an unhinged mind, but to my astonishment, they exhibited no surprise when I shared my ordeal with them. In fact, they displayed a disturbing level of familiarity with the horrors I had experienced, as if they were all too aware of the malevolent presence that had plagued their home.